The questions that you guys asked. So, damn, we're over halfway.
Yeah.
You believe that? All right. First question is: if Alex Smith goes down, who should Washington turn to? You want to take that?
As much as Riverboat Ron doesn't like him, you got to give it to Haskins because who else is still on that roster? Haskins has shown that he can win football games. He might not be exactly what Ron Rivera likes, but the guy's got potential. You draft him in the first round. There's no reason why you should give up on him this early.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I thought they were gonna trade him, but they never traded him. So now he's stuck on your roster. So now you might as well utilize him. I'm not saying he should start in front of Alex Smith, but if Alex goes down, then yeah, I think that's who you got to go to.
Yeah.
Not much more to say on that, but has this guy still got you blocked? Did you see a Giants question?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So Spencer, if you watch this, you gotta unblock him, bro. You had one argument, just unblock him. No big deal. He can't see your questions. Well, will the Giants take another QB or go into next year praying Jones becomes completely new QB? It's going to depend where they wind up in the draft order, in my opinion. If they can't get Justin Fields or Lawrence, which I doubt they're going to get Lawrence, for some reason another Jets question was asked, so we'll go into that later. But if they can't get those two, they're going to stick with Daniel Jones. Personally, I think they should stick with Daniel Jones anyways. That's just my personal opinion, but what I think they should do and what they will do are two different things. I think if they can get either one of those two QBs, they will pull the trigger on it. Just because New York's fan base is so pushy about their QBs, and it's just hard to QB there, and hard to. The owners tend to cave to their fans over there, so hence why they kept Eli for as long as they did, even though the middle of his career was full of nothing but struggle. Mm-hmm. Good thing they did, though, because he won another Super Bowl. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got on that. So.
I don't think that they'll draft another quarterback. That'd be a really, really poor decision, especially they're not changing their front office up, and they just drafted Daniel Jones like 2 years ago. They're not going to give up on him this quick. He's shown a lot of potential. I think, if anything, they're going to address the offensive line to try to keep him from fumbling the ball and turning it over and give him some time in that pocket. But I don't think they'll get another quarterback this year.
They need to utilize the speed more in that offense.
Yeah.
They really do. The dude's fast. If Dallas ends up with a top 5 pick, what should they do with it?
Oh, okay. This one's a really tricky one, but it depends on what Dak does in the offseason. Dak's proved he's going to get paid somewhere. I don't know if that's in Dallas. I know Jerry Jones has said that they want Dak, but Dak can just charge whatever he wants now, showing how bad the Cowboys are without him. But if they retain Dak, I think they definitely have to address the defense. That defense is just god awful. If they decide that Dak is not worth what he's wanting to get paid, I think they really need to look at a quarterback, because DiNucci was not it. Cooper Rush is not it. There's a reason why he just lost that job. Andy Dalton's not getting any younger. And this new guy, he's got a lot of potential, but he's not a franchise quarterback. So depending on what happens with Dak, I'd say go defense or try to get his replacement.
Yeah, I'm almost in the same boat. It really does depend on what happens with Dak, because you're not going to draft a QB, obviously, with Dak's going to stick around, because it's not like Dak's old. So, but if he leaves, you look at the Cowboys' offense right now, it is pathetic. Mm-hmm. You know, I've kind of gained, I hate saying this because he's a Cowboy, but I've gained some respect for Dak this year, seeing it how, I'm not really wasn't always the biggest, Dak guy, but seeing how bad this team went after he got hurt shows me that he's actually a really good quarterback. So they got to try to sign him. If not, then obviously they're going to look at Justin Fields. I think they can get Justin Fields. I don't think they're winning any more games this year. So I would say that's the route to go. I do like the guy that they have right now. I think he's the best one that they've had so far. Gilbert, right? That's his name. Yeah. I think he'd be a very quality backup. I think you keep him around, and he'd be a guy where if your quarterback goes down, you don't think you're going to completely fall apart. So I could see them trying to keep him around for that, but he's not going to lead you to like any playoff wins or anything like that. He's not that type of QB. So I definitely think that they would try to get Justin Fields if they can't get Dak. If not, then yeah, they need defensive backs bad. They got Diggs. Diggs is pretty good. Young, he still makes some young mistakes, but he's going to develop into a good one. So you just build around him. Because, I mean, anytime they throw the ball more than 15 yards, it's like a completed pass to a dude that's wide open. So, like, I don't know what goes on back there, but...
They should sign the throw-ins.
Jordan, hey, it's better than what they got now. I say give it a shot.
Right.
He was on a practice squad, wasn't he? Chiefs practice squad. Yeah, so you can steal from practice squads, can't you?
Mm-hmm. Unless he's protected, but they released him from the practice squad. He's just a free agent right now.
Well, that's what happens when you get COVID.
Yeah.
But, yeah, dude, I mean, I wouldn't mind them taking a shot at it. You might as well, your season's over. You might as well take a shot and try to see what you can get.
All right, yeah.
It's worth a shot. He was pretty good in the XFL, so, yeah, who knows? Take a shot at it. But, is Kirk Vember real?
Yes.
What's the record? In November right now?
2-0.
2-0, right? They were 1-5 before that, so you tell me if Kirk Vember's real. Okay? We're gonna really find out if Kirk Vember's real Monday because there's a curse going on for Kirk Cousins. He's never won on Monday night. He's 0-8. Never won a Monday night game. If he wins Monday night, Kirk Vember is for real, and there's no debating that anymore because he never wins on Monday. It doesn't matter who he plays. So,
and it'll be an interesting note that if he beats the Bears on Monday night, not only did they get 3 wins, they got 3 wins against the division all in 1 month, back to back to back. That's really
huge.
Good for your football team.
That's huge. And they're only 2 games out of a wild card, so every win here just puts you, closer and closer to that. So they're fighting. They're fighting right now. Plenty of games left to go. So it's a big game Monday. I think Kirk shows up big, but I think Delvin Cook has a big game.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler Smith thinks he's going to be under 100. I bet he gets close to 200. He's on fire right now.
I'd say he probably gets lower 100s, but he's going to punch it in twice.
214 yards and 4 TDs. You're calling it right here. Plus, Kirk's going to throw another 4 TDs.
Okay.
We're looking at 56 points, okay?
That's funny.
All right. Are the Steelers overrated and benefiting from their weak schedule, or is that going to hurt them come playoff time?
Yes.
Wow, you fell out 1 week.
The Steelers are not as good as what everyone says they are. Look at their schedule. They took the Dallas Cowboys with like a 4th-string quarterback, and it took them all the way to the very end of the game to put the Dallas Cowboys away. No, the Dallas Cowboys. Arguably, that team wouldn't beat the Jets.
No, they'd beat the Jets.
I don't think they'd beat the Jets. And you're getting your ass kicked for most of that game. It took a very good 4th quarter comeback from Ben Roethlisberger and two noodle knees of his to pull that one out. The Steelers are a good football team, but I think they're very overrated. I think they're probably going to get the bye week, but after that they're going to be one and done in the playoffs. I'm calling it now. It's not even going to be close.
So, Saturday, I ran across a statistic on the Steelers that made me believe that Cowboys game was going to be close. The Steelers, when they are more than 10-point favorites, under Mike Tomlin, have never beaten the spread. Ever. So they are literally the definition of that team that plays to the level of their competition.
That'd explain why they play tight games against bad teams.
Yeah, they play tight team games against bad teams, but they'll also play tight games against good teams because they raise their level for those teams. They are a good football team. When they're going to be in the playoffs, they're going to play to the level of their playoff competitors. They're not going to be an easy out. They're a good football team. I don't know if they're the best team in the league. The time will tell with that, but they are a good football team. It's very hard for me to call them overrated just because they had a bad game, especially when that's been their MO. Tomlin's a good coach. All that matters is that he got the W. There are concerns. Ben's knees are a concern. That's a huge issue.
And he's got COVID now.
He doesn't have COVID. He was in contact with somebody who had COVID.
He's on the COVID list.
So was Baker for like 30 minutes. But Ben's going to play Sunday, but with him having banged up knees and not practicing all week, that could hinder him against a hot Bengals offense. We'll get to that later, though. But do I think the Steelers are overrated? No, I do not. Which school is the best draft class so far this year? This is not a college football show, Tim. This is a pro football show. It's definitely Jacksonville State. Are the Jets going 0-16? Yes! Stop asking Jets questions. They're 0-16. We've said it every week since the show started. 0-16. Okay, they had their one miracle shot on Monday, and they didn't even know fundamental football at the end of the game.
It gave that game away.
The guy caught the ball and went down. There's a chance the ref blows it dead, potentially. But you leave that up to the refs. You do not touch that guy because then it's 100% he's down. There's only 3 seconds left. Let the clock run out. What are you doing? You cost yourself the only win you were going to get all season. The sad part is you could have won that game and still got Trevor Lawrence. Like, that's the sad part.
Yeah. What about they were up by 7, and the first play of that drive, Joe Flacco just throws the bomb that's intercepted to give. They could have just ran 5 minutes off the clock.
There was 5 minutes and 56 seconds to go, and he's all like, play action, fuck it, I'm going to throw it deep. I did this in the playoffs once.
Yeah, this team is bad. It's 0-16 all the way. They're lucky they don't face the Cowboys, otherwise they'd get their first win.
They're lucky.
Yeah, because then if they got their first win, they're probably not going to get Trevor Lawrence.
They would though. Jacksonville beat Indy, and I think the Jets play Indy. They're going to lose to Indy. So, technically, by tiebreaker, everybody's going to start checking the schedule, not a fact check me when they're watching this, right? I don't know that they play, right? I'm just assuming.
I don't think they do.
Who is the best wide receiver in the NFL, and why is it Travis Fulgham?
Travis Fulgham, the best wide receiver in the league since week 4 when he was activated to the NFL. Active rosters, there's not been a wide receiver that's been better. Look it up. And Travis Fulgham is just the greatest wide receiver of all time. He is so good. He's like Terrell Owens, but if Terrell Owens was good.
Okay, so am I supposed to answer the question? It's your question, so tell me, okay? Am I supposed to answer this question statistic-wise, or am I supposed to answer this question talent-wise?
Both.
Talent-wise, it's DeAndre Hopkins. He's the best receiver in the league. Statistics-wise, it's Stephon Diggs. He's got the best stats in the league right now. Travis Fulgham, since week 4...
has been number 1.
Right, okay, well, if he keeps that up, I'll give him some props at the end of the year. You heard it here first. If he keeps it up, I'll on our final regular season podcast, I will
You'll
throw
get
it
a Travis
there.
Fulgham jersey?
I will not know.
With the R?
Definitely not with the R. That's not how you spell his name. That jersey is going to be worth dick.
There is no...
R and Fulgham. I told him that the first time he said it, and then because he thought it was funny, and then ran with it after that.
The R stands for Randy because he makes everyone randy after he catches the ball for a touchdown. Austin Powers reference. All right, next one.
Yeah, it was a cringy one. All right. With Atlanta having 3 wins since Dan Quinn was canned, should Raheem Morris get the first interview for the Atlanta Falcons head coaching vacancy? Yes, absolutely. They are an accidental touchdowns away from being 4-0 since Dan Quinn was canned, and they were winless when Dan Quinn was canned. 2 minutes takes me. Yeah, I absolutely think he's absolutely made a case to be the head coach of that team. I don't see how you can't at least give him that opportunity. With the way that he's made the Falcons look, I would definitely he would be number 1 on my, I don't even know if you should even interview him. You should probably just give him the job, but if you are going to do interviews, he should definitely be number 1. I just don't, obviously, the Falcons always had the talent on the team, and now he's showing that with a competent coach, you can actually do something with it. So I 100% think he should do it.
Yeah. I see the way that the Falcons play under him, and it's a totally different team. Like Coop said, they're one botched touchdown away from being 4-0, and with what the NFL just proposed and went through with, it was rather yesterday or the day before. If he becomes the head coach, the Falcons get an extra 3rd-round pick because he's a person of color. That's That'd be huge because they're already going to be rebuilding. So you get the guy that you want, and you get a bonus draft pick for it too. It's a no-brainer. He should definitely be the head coach.
Yep. That's another. I didn't even think about that. That's another incentive for sure. Would Brian Flores get your vote for Coach of the Year?
No. My vote for Coach of the Year would have to be Mike Tomlin. That guy has, on paper, if you look at that offense on Pittsburgh, that's an 8-win team. They've already got their 8 wins. On defense, that defense is stacked, but there's some aging players. There's some holes on both sides of the ball, and
an aging quarterback.
And a very aging quarterback that looks like he's just had enough.
He can't move. He can still throw the ball, but he cannot move. Pocket better be clean.
And Mike Tomlin continues to do it. If there should be a Coach of the Year, it's going to be Mike Tomlin in my eyes, because I don't think any other coach could make the Steelers perform the way they've been doing.
I'm also going to say no, but I do think he should be in the conversation. What he's done with the Dolphins is far exceeded expectations. Just like last year. He had nothing on that team and still found a way to, what they win five games last year? It was a no-win team last year on paper. Literally. Like, I did not see a game on the schedule at the beginning of the year they were going to win, and he pulled out 5 wins. And one of them was against New England, and that's always big.
Yeah.
And they actually knocked New England out of the bye and gave it to Kansas City, which the rest is history.
Yeah.
So they affected NFL history. Tomlin's the obvious choice, right? Well, I wanted to go with the guy that I think has the best chance to beat Tomlin. Okay, I do think it is Tomlin, but I'm going to give my runner-up because Flores would be third to me, and then Gruden would be fourth. My second, Sean McDermott for Buffalo. He has got that team playing extremely good football. I think his win against Seattle really, really put him up there for the Coach of the Year. Because not only did they beat Seattle, they dominated Seattle. That game's score was only 10 points, but they were ahead by big the entire game from the get-go. And he never let off the gas, which a lot of coaches in the NFL have a tendency to do, is let their foot off the gas pedal when they get a 17, 20-point lead. He didn't. No, he's like, screw this. I know it's Russell Wilson on the other side. I'm going. Full speed. They're 7-2. They're leading the AFC East. They beat New England, which they haven't done in 400 years. I can't see anybody besides those two really winning Coach of the Year. It's got to be between Tomlin and McDermott. Nobody thought Buffalo's offense was going to be the way it is. So he's doing something really well in Buffalo.
Honorary mention to Matt Patricia. He's doing a hell of a job. Right, cheese. Back me up here.
Don't get him going in the comment section. Do not. You have him raging in the comment section. All right. If Jake Luton has a good showing against Green Bay, win or lose, when Minshew comes back, is there competition for the job? I already think there's competition for the job. Luton played his ass off on Sunday, okay? And that Jacksonville team finally looked like it had a little bit of fire underneath it. They were this close to winning that football game. And they really had no business winning that football game. On paper, even though Houston lost people in the offseason, on paper they're a much better team. And they hung right in there and at times looked better than them in that game.
Take a bath with my toaster.
Way to go. We're going to lose cheese. Yeah, I would say I think there's already competition. If he plays well against Green Bay, then there may not be competition anymore at all. Maybe his job completely. Yeah, I think he gives them a really good shot at winning a game. I actually feel like that was a Jacksonville team I could probably pick over a couple teams that played Sunday, where before I haven't said that at all. This is the first time I've said this on the podcast at all. The kid looks good, okay? And that spin move that Brent showed me the other day that he had was nasty. And then on top of that, his first completion of the game was a 73-yard touchdown. Jacksonville looked like it wanted to win a game for once. And that you haven't seen that since the first time Minshew took the field. So, I would say so, yeah.
For me, it has to definitely decide on how well he performs against Green Bay. I think a lot of the Luton magic that we saw last Sunday was because there was really no tape on the guy. No one knew how he was going to play. A lot of times guys come in and there's no tape and they just light it up. They catch the defense off guard. It'll be interesting to see how Green Bay prepares for him. By no means am I saying that Jacksonville's going to even pose a threat to Green Bay, but if he doesn't turn the ball over, if he leads a couple good drives, he might be the starter going forward, and Minshew Mania will be just done and over with. But if he goes out there, throws 4 interceptions, gets sacked 5 times, I think Minshew's going to get that job back.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. What team is better than their record shows?
Philadelphia Eagles. If you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they're sitting at 3-4-1 right now. They're a 2-point conversion away from knocking off the Baltimore Ravens. I understand the Baltimore Ravens aren't the team that they were last year, but they're still a very good team. They could have beat the Baltimore Ravens. They had the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers sweating. And if Pittsburgh plays a conservative game and Jake Elliott doesn't miss a 54-yard field goal, the Eagles are 2 more wins than what they were before. That's 5-2-1 and a clear-cut NFC East. Philadelphia Eagles got robbed. Philadelphia Eagles should be the best team in the league.
Yeah, Jordan, I actually agree if they had a better coach. 100%. Their talent level is better than what their record is.
Yes.
But they're not my team. We're going to seem like a bunch of homers here.
The Minnesota Vikings.
Mine's the Minnesota Vikings. And it's hard to argue, and I'm pretty sure that you'll back me up on this. They've been rolling lately. They beat the Packers. They lost to Seattle by 1 in Seattle, where they've had no success ever. They lost to Tennessee by 1 in a game where, honestly, Mike Zimmer kind of cost the team. I still think it was the right decision, but he chose to go for 2 earlier in the game, and they didn't make it, and they would have kicked the extra point at the tie game. So, in an offense that's, even when they were on their losing streak, 1-5 was averaging 26 points a game, and now they're averaging 32 points a game.
Fuck the Packers!
Fuck the Packers! There he is. Yeah, we did answer your question about Dallas' draft pick, Alex. You will have to go back after the video is posted. But yeah, the Vikings, their defense is finally starting to click and not look like a complete slot fest out there. They're not an elite defense by any means, but they're actually starting to get out off the field now. They're starting to make stops. They're getting pressure, which is weird. Yannick's gone, and now they're getting pressure. Wow. I can't pronounce his name. Shit.
I know who you're talking
about. Obendebo.
Yeah.
Obendebo. I think that's about as close as I'm going to get to pronouncing his name. I don't care how many times I hear the announcers pronounce it. I still can't do it. He's getting to the quarterback a lot. And I like that because he had a slow start to the season, so I was a little concerned, but now he's getting there all the time. And that offense is just nasty. Dalvin Cook is running better than anybody in the league right now, and you got Thielen and Jefferson playing their ass off. Yes, I would say honorable mention Chargers.
The Chargers have been screwed out of 4 wins this year.
I wouldn't say screwed. They've let wins slip through their fingertips.
4 times.
They have not been screwed. It's all been their own doing. Let's get that straight. Pass interference with no time left on the clock is just a dumb play. But yes, talent-wise, they're better. Denver, another team that's better than their record. So these are some honorable mentions. Denver was hit by $50-some million in injuries. Carolina's better than their record, and they've shown that. They've played tough with everybody. Mm-hmm. So there are quite a few teams that I think are better than their record. But those are the top 2 for us, Philly and Minnesota. I actually think both those teams will be in the playoffs.
Dallas. Okay. Next question.
No comment. Which NFL team has the best draft class so far?
I know they're not replicating it in the win department, but I'm going with the Chargers. Herbert looks like he was the best quarterback of this draft class. Kenneth Murray playing lights out, and what's that running back? Josh Kelly.
Josh Kelly.
He's been pretty serviceable. Out of those top 3 guys, you're getting great production. Herbert specifically, that guy is just, if he doesn't win Rookie of the Year, it's a shame.
Well, now you put me in a jam because that was my team. I don't want to repeat everything you just said. Probably the Bengals have had a pretty good rookie draft class, I would say. Higgins looks good, Burrow looks good, and I mean they both look really good. So I would say that's Higgins is a rookie, right? Yeah. I'm not being retarded.
He was taken
now,
in the first pick.
Okay, for some reason I just second guessed myself because I did not look up this past the Chargers because I thought that's who I was going to take, but I'm trying not to pick the same team. So yeah, Higgins and Burrow have looked really good, and I think just those two performing the way that they have already has to put them up there.
Yeah.
So I would have to put them as second. Somebody mentioned Miami. I think that Tua might perform pretty good, but I can't really think of anybody else off the top of my head.
Their cornerback they took in the first round, he already got benched for the entire season because he was performing so bad. Wilson on defense looks... Oh, yeah.
I don't even know her. I would have to look. I'm sorry, Tim. Bengals games are not on TV a lot. I kind of highlight that shit. So I have to check him out. I'm not sure. I was not prepared for the Bengals. So yeah, I will check him out for sure. Thank you for the recommendation. I will look at that. The hell's wrong with my fantasy team? Probably the person who manages it. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go to our picks now. Brent can take the first game.
All right, we got for Thursday Night Football. You got the Colts are traveling to Tennessee for a pretty good divisional matchup. I'm going with the Titans. I know you don't know what team to look for when you got the Titans. Sometimes they look really good. Sometimes they look really bad. But another team that looked really bad on Sunday was the Colts. Offensively, that team is not keeping up with Tannehill and Henry. I got to start throwing A.J. Brown in there, too, because I can't just say Tannehill without A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, lighten it up.
He's been really good.
I think that Tennessee's it's gonna be a really smash-mouth football game. I'm not expecting a really high-scoring game. It's a battle of who can run the ball better, and I got to pick Henry over Taylor any day of the week.
Yeah, Indy's offense looked awful Sunday. I mean, absolutely awful. Their defense looked good. Their defense looked like you would expect their defense to look. So it wasn't their whole team that was awful on Sunday. It was just offensively. Phillip Rivers is done. He is done. You should have. I don't understand what the decision was to sign him instead of Jacoby Brissett, because for God's sakes, Jacoby Brissett could do this plus more. I'm telling you that right now. I don't get it, but I don't coach the team, so this is what you got. I think this game will be close because Indy's defense will keep it close. But Derrick Henry is going to prove to be too much in the long haul. He'll eventually wear them down. And then I think once they get worn down, that's when he's going to finally, I think in the fourth quarter, he'll break out. Tannehill will not have that great of a game in this game. The Indy defenders have done a good job this season. I think they will do a pretty good job covering Brown and Davis. And I think that it'll be a very mediocre game for Tannehill, but eventually Henry's going to do enough to win a low-scoring, 13-10, 16-10 type game this weekend. So definitely, yes, Alex, bet the under. Bet the under, for sure. It'll be low-scoring. If the under is not 26, it won't be. Okay, so I'm telling you to bet under. Anybody who bets, it's a safe bet. Tampa Bay at Carolina. Hey, I'm telling you, I'm loving Tampa Bay right now. I'm loving them. Because the last two games, they've looked like trash. And I love it. But I can't take Carolina to beat them. I want to. I love to see Tom Brady do bad. It makes me happy. But I have a bet with this guy. So I gotta pick the team that I think is going to win unbiasedly. And that's Tampa Bay. I think they, despite their struggles in the last two games, they are still loaded with talent. Brady had a very bad game. It's very hard to see him having a bad game like that 2 games in a row. I don't care how old he is. He's too smart of a quarterback to have bad games like that. Even if he's not physically up to where he used to be, his mind's still sharp as ever. And I think he's definitely going to find a way to... Now, this will not be a blowout. Carolina has proven, with or without CMC, they can hang with people. It will be a close game. that Brady will edge out because Brady is more clutch than Teddy Bridgewater is, and that's just going to be what it's going to come down to in this game.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay is going to come in and win this football game. Christian McCaffrey,
out. He's out.
He's good for one game, and then he gets hurt.
Feel bad for him this year. First time he got hurt.
So with McCaffrey, the team would have had a better shot, especially with it being a divisional game. But I think Antonio Brown is actually going to start clicking more this week. There's a lot of mouths to feed in Tampa Bay, but I think that Antonio Brown, there's a reason why he's there, and I think that Tom Brady is going to try to give him the ball more, and that's going to be too much for the Panthers to handle with their already suspect secondary.
The over-under for Tampa and Indy's 51.5.
Tampa, Indy, Tennessee, Indy.
Yeah, Tennessee, Indy. Get the fuck out of here. Bet under.
Yeah, there's no way it gets.
Put your whole paycheck on under.
Don't do that, because I don't want to be reliable for you all being broke. All right, next game we got the Texans are traveling to Cleveland. I don't know if you checked the news, but there's a certain big boy that might be coming back for Cleveland this week, and he goes by the name of Nick Chubb. It's not sure if he's going to start.
Just hearing about it gives me a chub.
All right, so it's not confirmed that Nick Chubb is starting this week, but all signs are pointing to that he's going to start.
Everything I've read.
And you could tell the Browns team with Chubb compared to without Chubb was a totally different team. That's not a knock on Kareem Hunt, but Kareem Hunt is not the same player as Nick Chubb is. With that being said, the Texans are a pretty lost franchise. I really don't see them putting up any kind of fight in this game. The score will be closer than what the actual game is, but that's just because garbage time does wonder for stats. Browns take this one pretty easily.
Yeah, I got Cleveland also. Baker just came off the COVID list today, so he'll be playing. Chubb looks like he's going to be playing. Hunt's going to be playing. Landry's playing. Outside of OBJ, this Browns team's getting healthy. And that's a bad thing for everybody that they get play against, because this Browns team's loaded with talent. I don't see Houston having anything on defense to answer anything Cleveland's got on offense, and that's going to be the difference maker. Deshaun Watson will make some things happen. He always does. He's a great quarterback with not a lot of shit around him, and I feel bad for him. I heard that he said that if Will Fuller would have got traded, shit would have hit the fan.
Which is crazy because he didn't stand up prior to that at all. He was like dead quiet about it, and then
he probably said it behind closed doors. That's probably part of the reason why they put the price tag for him up quite a bit.
And you know how much pull Watson has on that team.
Yeah, Watson wouldn't be a Texan much longer if Will Fuller was traded. Yeah. I'll tell you that right now. He would find a way out.
He would burn every bridge out there.
He'll make some things happen. Like I said, he's a great quarterback, but. Again, the Houston defense is not going to be able to stop Cleveland, so that's where it's going to come down to. Unless you have a crazy thing like Vegas, Cleveland, where there's gusting 63-mile-an-hour winds and they can't throw the ball at all, then...
And Chubb's just going to run wild.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying, like, that's the only thing, like, part of the reason that Cleveland's offense clicks, though, is because Chubb can run for a while and then Baker can utilize the play action. But, I mean, they'd win the game either way, but I'm just saying, like, they won't be able to stop the play action. They can't stop the run. I mean, I don't see a way in hell that they beat Cleveland.
Also, it's not breaking news. It's not even big news, but David Johnson's not playing this week. He's got a concussion. So
has he played since 2016?
Duke Johnson makes his return to Cleveland. It's not going to make any difference.
Texas will upset Browns. They're still the Browns. This is not the same Browns team.
Don't put that on your parlay.
Don't do that, dude. If you want to lose your money in Vegas, that's a good way to do it. But yeah, this is the Kevin Stefanski Browns. It's not the same. It's not the same team. Okay, this isn't the Freddie Kitchens Browns. Did you lead that one?
Yes.
Okay. Washington at Detroit. All right. You know, there were points during the season I was picking Washington because I thought their defensive front was really good, and I figured that they could run the ball. They can't even do that anymore. I can't pick them. They lost to the Giants twice. There's nothing there that shows me Alex Smith looked bad. Now, I know that I think at some point in time he'll click out of that. I think a lot of that's rust. He hasn't played in, it's got to be almost 3 years, right? So, I think a lot of that's rust. That'll shake off eventually, I think. But he's only had one start. I don't think it'll shake off quite yet. I know Stafford's playing. He passed all his concussion tests from Sunday, so he's playing. I just think that the offense is going to be too much for Washington's offense with Alex Smith throwing interceptions left and right now. So I'm going to take Detroit in probably a pretty sloppy game. It's not going to be pretty. No Kenny G in this game, by the way, most likely. I just read before we got on.
So this game was kind of a hard one to choose because you have one team on paper is way more talented than the other one. But at the same time, the team that's way more talented just essentially eliminated themselves from playoff contention with that loss to Minnesota. The other team is very much in it for the NFC least. The Washington football team has a better front defensive line. It's gonna I think is gonna wreak havoc on Stafford without Kenny Galladay as his safety net there. It's also all that pressure is going to really stop Stafford from throwing those deep balls. And the Lions have shown that they're one of the worst teams in the league at moving the chains those 4 or 5 yards at a time. They really thrive on that deep play from Hall or Marvin Jones gets them too. But without those deep plays, which I don't think are going to be available.
Hockenson gets them over the middle too.
Yeah, but I don't think that they're going to. I think Stafford's going to play a lot of this game from his back. And it's not because I hate the Lions. I don't hate the Lions. I picked them like 2 weeks now. But Washington has more to play for. Washington's my upset this week. I wouldn't be shocked if Lions win, but I'm going Washington. So with that, we got the Jacksonville Ludons traveling up to Lambeau to probably get annihilated by Aaron Rodgers. I don't have much to say about this game. You finally got Aaron Jones healthy. He's going to run like crazy. Aaron Rodgers, he's seen how mortal Russell Wilson looks, knows the MVP race is a lot tighter than it was before. He's playing at a high level. This game's over after the first quarter. It's going to be ugly. Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay's not going to win a game the rest of the season because they didn't pull the trigger on Will Fuller. It's going to be the Will Fuller curse, and they're going to be cursed until they get a wide receiver. In my head, that's how I have everything going because I hate Green Bay. But
Green Bay lock of the fucking century. I don't even think they probably have a money line for this.
Lock of the century. Any team that plays the Jets is the lock of the century. The Jets have a bye week, right?
Yes.
They need that.
At least they can't lose.
Yeah, true. Finally. There's not a lot to say about this game. Green Bay's way just more talented. I do want to see if Jacksonville can hang in there for a little bit. I'll be interested to see if Luton can hang in there because sometimes Green Bay does this thing where they kind of don't show up in the first half against shitty teams, and you're like, oh my god, Green Bay's going to get upset, and then they score 40 points in the second half, and then you're like, damn, there goes that. So I'm kind of interested to see if Luton can do that and kind of hang at least for a half. I'm not expecting it, but I'll be interested to see if he can because he's playing for a job right now. I think Minshew's probably will be back next week. So this is really his shot to try to show Jacksonville what they got. But you got a healthy Aaron Jones, a healthy Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers gunning for that MVP award that I don't think he's that far behind in anymore. Again, I still would have Russ as my front runner, but man, the gap is closed significantly in that race. So he definitely has a real good shot at getting that. So I think that these are the teams that he licks his lips at when he gets to face because now he knows he can throw 5 touchdowns and 400 yards against this type of team. So, yeah, I'd expect the Packers to win big.
Yeah.
Okay, Philadelphia at the Giants. Philadelphia's finally getting healthy again. They got a lot of guys that are back and they're getting ready to play again. And you know, the Giants are the Giants. They just, even when they play the best ball like last week, they find a way to lose. Or not last week, 2 weeks ago against Tampa, they find a way to lose. The only team that Daniel Jones has been able to beat his entire career really is the Washington football team. He's 4-0 against them and 1-17 against everybody else.
That one win coming in his very first start against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, and that was it. So, oh yeah, I remember that game because that game went right down the wire. Yep, yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that was a good game too. But yeah. So I just can't see the Giants winning this game. Philly hasn't lost to the Giants in forever, and that's crazy when you play a team twice and you haven't won in like 7 years. That's just mind-boggling to me almost. Like, this isn't college football. Like, this is the pro. It's supposed to be quite even. Like, that's just outrageous. But that's like Buffalo, New England type statistics.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't got a lot to say about this game because the Giants are the Giants and the Eagles are healthy. So I got Philly here.
Philadelphia Eagles. They're winning this football game. Take it to the bank. If you have Travis Fulgham on your fantasy team, he's a lock to start. He's gonna light it up. He feasts on the Giants already. Miles Sanders is finally back. That's huge. He should have been back 2 weeks ago, but they wanted to rest him. He's gonna go off. Dallas Goedert's healthy. It's gonna be a pretty good game. It'll be a lot closer than what the game will actually feel, just because that's how traditionally their rivalries are. Eagles will pull it out, though. Next one. The Chargers at the Dolphins. You know, I said I wasn't picking the Chargers anymore, but I lied. It's just so hard not to pick Justin Herbert because he's playing great football. This is going to be a great showdown between Tua and Herbert. But Herbert's done a lot more than what Tua's been able to, and I like how Miami's defense is actually starting to play now that they have a young quarterback. They're trying to keep the games within reason. But in a very high-scoring game, I have Herbert coming out on top over Tua.
This game was hard.
Yeah.
Because Miami is on a 4-game win streak.
4-game win streak. They only have 3 wins.
No, they don't. They're 5-3.
I thought they were 3. No, never mind. I'm stand corrected. I pulled Neil moment.
Wow. Is that what we call them?
Yes.
Yeah. So Miami's 5-3, 4-game win streak. They just beat Arizona, which was a huge win. Nobody's seen that coming. I don't know how Arizona's cut their kicker yet. If you are short on a 49-yard field goal,
Matt Prater's got to go too.
Yeah, but I think Matt Prater's earned at least a shot for another shot next year. But some kickers have bad years. But should never miss short on a 49-yarder nowadays. But Miami, it was just so hard because Tua just played so well. Okay, so that's what it just came down to me. Okay, like it's so hard for me to explain how I picked this team because Miami, on paper, based on how they've played, Miami's played way better than the Chargers. They've actually put teams away. They've done everything they need to do. Their defense has played way better than the Chargers' defense has. But something about Herbert makes me want to pick him. And I was surprised that Brent picked him because I picked him. And I was like, damn it, how we both had the same upset. But I'm telling you, I don't think Miami can score with the Chargers. Look, they've scored a lot of points the last couple weeks. But they've had special teams touchdowns. They've had defensive touchdowns. Okay, you're not going to get those every week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now don't get me wrong. Tua did play good last week. Okay, so I'm not trying to take anything away from Tua. But 2 weeks ago, it was all his defensive special teams the reason why they won.
Yeah.
Last week, Tua actually played good, but we talk every week about how Arizona's defense is their Achilles heel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it was again last week. They let Tua march right down the field on them, and I just don't think that it's going to be that easy. I mean, the Chargers' defense isn't locked down by any means, but I think they're better than Arizona's. And I think when it comes down to it, I do expect it to be high scoring, and I do think that it's going to come down to the end of this game. And I don't think that the Chargers defense would bend like Arizona's defense bent against a guy with his third start. The Chargers have lost too many games on the last possession. At some point in time, it's got to give. And I think that this is the time it's going to give. Herbert's going to throw 4 touchdowns in this game, and it's going to be just enough for the Chargers to finally get over that hump of losing two weeks in a row they've lost with no time left on the clock. Like, I don't know. Like, that's crazy. I've seen teams lose on, like, last-second field goals and stuff like that, but usually there's sometimes, like, they've lost 2 back-to-back games with absolutely 0 seconds on the clock when they lost the game. Like, that's just absolutely insane. I don't know. I've talked about this game too much. It's just, it's going to be high scoring. It's hard. Bet the over. Yeah, Alex just said that too. Moving on to the next game, which just got even harder to pick. We got Buffalo and Arizona. And this game's so hard to pick right now because it's hard for me to see Arizona losing 2 games in a row with the way that Kyler Murray's been playing. But Buffalo just punched Seattle in the mouth. And I know Arizona beat Seattle, but there was a difference between the way Arizona beat Seattle and the way Buffalo beat Seattle. Arizona was losing to Seattle the entire game and had to come back. Buffalo literally dominated Seattle. So Buffalo is clicking on all cylinders on offense right now. Josh Allen, 4 touchdowns, 300 yards. He had how many rushing yards? He had quite a bit of rushing yards. Yes, Sunday too.
I can't remember. Exactly.
I didn't look up his rushing yards, damn it. But he's the only QB in the NFL with multiple 400-plus passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions games. The only QB. They're just clicking right now. Stephon Diggs leading the league in receiving yards. Zach Moss looks really good. He's definitely surpassed Singletary as the man there in Buffalo, which is crazy because all the talk of Buffalo last year was Singletary. Mm-hmm. So it's just hard for me to pick against Buffalo. I'm going to pick Buffalo in a game that I think could go either way, so do not put any stake in anything that I just said because this game could literally go either way. Kyler Murray is so good. That guy is way better than I thought he was going to be. When he came out of college, I thought he was going to be one of those guys who wanted to be too short and just couldn't do the things you could do as an NFL quarterback. He looked more like a college system quarterback, and I 100% stand here as a man telling you I'm sorry for saying that. So, man. Just go ahead. I have nothing left to say. It's so hard to pick that game. I know I'm going to eat this one. I'm going to eat it.
If you're a betting man, every week there's one game that's going to screw your entire parlay up.
Why would you put this one on there?
This is that game. If you're a Buffalo fan, leave your heart out of the game because this is going to be a tight game.
Honestly, if you're an Arizona fan, you shouldn't put it on your parlay either.
I know that Arizona has lost to Miami. They've lost to Detroit. Who else did they lose to? I can't remember. One other team. But they've lost to some teams that they shouldn't have lost to. But they've also beaten some teams that they shouldn't have beaten.
Seattle?
So, yeah, Seattle being the big one. I think this game comes down to matchups. And that Bills defense is pretty good. But it doesn't match up, in my opinion, very well to what the Cardinals like to do. And I don't think, unless they put Edmonds up on a spy on Murray, I don't think that they're going to be able to slow Murray down. With that, I have the Cardinals upsetting the Bills.
Upsetting.
They're going to upset the Bills. The only reason they're favorites is because it's a home game and you're guaranteed 3 points.
Are they even favorites? I don't know, but I put upsetting because they're pretty damn even.
I'm going with Arizona, and the main reason I went with Arizona is because I knew Coop was going to go Buffalo, and we got this bet going on. It's risky, but this might be one that puts me up a couple more than what I'm already at. So I'm going Cardinals. Cardinals win it in the desert, and it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, Cardinals are the favorite. Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't realize they were the. Well, that's probably because they're home team, but Cardinals win this football game. Maybe. So we have Denver traveling to Vegas. Look, Denver's played really good football. Considering all the injuries that they've had to overcome this year, if you're not a believer in Drew Lock yet, then you just don't know football.
Dylan Burns.
Because Drew Lock is playing great football with nobody there, except for, he's got Jerry Jeudy, but Jeudy
He's been utilized until last week.
He didn't emerge until last week. And Denver's played really good football. They haven't really come out with all the wins that they should have. But I'm not picking them. I'm going with the Raiders. John Gruden really has that team clicking. That's another team that doesn't have the wins that they should have. But this team is probably going to make it to the playoffs. And for the next few years, it's going to be a team that's consistently going to the playoffs. The Raiders have built themselves a really good football team.
And really young.
Yeah, they're young across the board, minus their offensive line, but they can start plugging those in with the young guys. Raiders are going to win this football game in a nice divisional matchup.
I don't know about taking the over. That game scares me with the over-under.
Which one is he saying?
Denver, Vegas. I wouldn't touch the over-under in this game.
Yeah,
I would not touch it.
It's going to be a fun game to watch.
It'd be a fun game to watch, but Denver is one of those teams where either they score 13 points and win and lose 13-10, or they lose 33-30. So you just don't want to touch it. Just don't touch it. But I rambled on with the last two games because they were pretty tight. But this was pretty easy for me to pick, I think. Right now, yes, Denver's a good football team, and they're playing pretty good ball considering, like Brent said, considering all their injuries that they have. But they play really bad football in the first half. That's a fact. Okay, they do not show up in the first half. Drew Lock does not show up until after he's had his halftime speech, and then he goes out there and plays lights out. If you go behind the Raiders in this young offense for a whole half, you're not winning the game. They're too well coached. They're too young and energetic for them to blow leads like that. Ask the Chargers just when they thought they had them. Nope. Psych.
You thought.
You thought. Not gonna lie, you had me in the first half. Just the team's good. The Raiders are playing really well. I think they should have a couple more wins than they have right now. Granted, they're 5-3. They're still not doing bad, but there's not a lot of teams that I think are going to beat the Raiders left down their schedule. I think the Raiders have a really good shot at running the table. I think there's only like 2 more games that I think that they have that are going to really be struggles for them. They got a really strong running game. Josh Jacobs has woke up. They got a real strong running game going over there. Derek Carr has a real good connection with Darren Waller. Mm-hmm. And if all that fails, Ruggs can still run past everybody. Yeah. And they've used that. And I know they haven't used Ruggs as much as they should have, but they've definitely used it as a bailout safety net plenty of times this season. And not to mention, Aguilar is good for 1 catch for 50 yards every game. And that 1 catch for 50 yards is always a touchdown. Like, that's so Aguilar's not dropping the football anymore, so you can actually throw it to him deep and actually think he's going to catch it. So just the way the Raiders are playing right now, and the way the Broncos don't show up in the first half, and it being in Vegas, it just spells the Raiders a win for me. So, got to take Oakland here.
Vegas.
Yeah, that's what I said. All right, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. This game is not as easy to pick as it looks like it would be on paper. The Bengals are playing good football right now. They just came off an upset win over the Titans in a game where they controlled the entire game. Like the outcome of that game was never in doubt.
No.
They dominated from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, and that shocked a lot of people. Me and Brent both picked Tennessee in that game. It was very shocking to see what Cincinnati did to Tennessee.
That was that one game that's going to get you per week.
Yep. That definitely was. I had him on my parlay. It fucked me up. But Joe Burrow's playing good, and I know Ben Roethlisberger is limping around. He's not going to practice this week. This has all the makings of an upset. But I'm not going to take it because they're that well coached. So I think that it's going to be one of those games again where Pittsburgh comes out. They play to the level of their competition, and they play it tight. I think Joe Burrow has a good game. I think he's going to play good. But I think at the end of the day, Pittsburgh has what it takes to beat the Bengals, and it's just
taking the Bengals Steelers is a huge sucker bet.
Yeah, don't put it on your parlay. I'm telling you, this has upset written all over it. I said that, but as a person who's got to make a pick, I'm going to take the Steelers. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to sit here and warn you that this could be an upset. I got to take the Steelers just based on the season they've had so far and the fact that the Bengals still only have 2 wins. But I'm telling you, this will be close. Just Steelers fans will be biting their fingernails at the end of this game.
Yeah. I'm going with the Steelers in this game. Until the Steelers prove that they can lose a football game, you're just not making smart football decisions if you're picking against them. However, if Big Ben does not play, if they figure out on game day that his knees are not good enough to play, or if he goes out there and realizes he can't play and pulls himself out of that game, the Bengals are probably going to pull that game out. Tomlin's a phenomenal coach, but Rudolph, he's just not it. If that happens, then the Bengals pull that upset out. But until then, you just got to make smart football decisions and pick the Steelers.
How did they bring Mason Rudolph back?
They felt bad for his head because his head's like this now.
Dude, he played so bad last year. Like he got
benched for a guy named
Duck. Like, I mean, you would think I know he's just a backup, but you would think you'd want to go get a safety net for Big Ben.
Yeah. Well, no, because if you draft a safety net, Big Ben pouts and says he's not going to play for the team anymore. Remember when Mason Rudolph got drafted in like the 3rd round, and he's like, "You should have been getting weapons for me instead." Big Ben is just a crybaby.
He kind of is. He's a good quarterback, but he's a crybaby.
Yeah. How are you going to throw your teammate under the bus like that? Like he did. Instead of getting like a welcome text from Big Ben, "You don't belong here."
Yeah.
Father Time waits for no one. He's undefeated. San Francisco travels to the Bayou, and this is another one where the Saints, they don't look like they're slowing down. And until the Saints prove that they can slow down, you would be dumb to pick, pardon my French, to pick against the Saints.
The Saints made a statement last week.
Yes. The way that they punched Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in the mouth, nobody had the Saints winning that game except for probably Coop. And the only reason...
And I didn't pick them big, though. I thought it was going to be close.
The only reason he picked the Saints was because he doesn't like Tom Brady. And they saw everyone was picking the Buccaneers, and
every analyst on every channel picked the Bucs. Every single one of them, because there was a meme afterwards that had a picture of all of them. Like every set ESPN, NFL Network, Fox, everything. They all had every single one of them had Tampa Bay. Every one of them.
And so I took it personal as well.
Yeah, so I took it personal.
But the 49ers are not that great of a football team with how they've endured all these injuries. The Saints really shouldn't have to worry about this game, which could mean trouble because if you overlook your opponent, a lot of times they sneak up on you. But the Saints are going to win this game, and it probably isn't going to be close.
Nobody's scared of Nick Mullins. Okay, like it's just. Does that sound like an intimidating name to you?
Did you see how bad he looked against the Packers?
Yeah,
that was just
wasn't good. I mean, he got a garbage time touchdown, I think, but like, he didn't look good. Yeah, the Saints are the number 1 seed in the NFC. A couple weeks ago, nobody would have said the Saints were going to be the number 1 seed. I remember the beginning of the year, Breeze is washed up. He can't do it anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Drew Brees is fine. He's the same Drew Brees he was 3 years ago. He's been doing the dink dunk. That's why I've been trying to say all season. I don't see what everybody's saying here because he's been doing this for like 6 years. Like this is the same Drew Brees that's been here. It's the same guy. He's never had a strong arm. The dude doesn't look like he's ever curled a weight in his life. Like, I mean, what kind of arm do you think he's supposed to have? This Drew Brees is the great quarterback that he is because he uses his head. The Saints offense was struggling because Drew Brees has no weapons behind Michael Thomas. That's the only reason why they were struggling. They had Emmanuel Sanders, but he's like 40, right? And Jared Cook is also like 40. Mm-hmm. So they literally had Kamara and 2 grumpy old men. Like, I mean, now Michael Thomas is back, and he didn't even have to be that involved in the offense. I think he only had like 5 catches for 50 yards or something like that, right? But his presence makes the difference to the defense. Okay, because they know we got to double Mike Thomas. We got to try to take him out of the game. And that opens things up for Kamara, opens things up for Sanders, it opens things up for Taysom Hill. You know what I mean? Like, everything opens up that way. So this Saints team is dangerous. Okay, like they're gonna run over anybody that's not named Minnesota if they get to the playoffs. the only team that I think that could beat New Orleans is Seattle. At the way that New Orleans is playing right now, things change as it goes along. So my opinion could change on this. But the New Orleans team we've seen Sunday can only be challenged by Seattle at this point in time.
Not even the Pack Attack?
No. Packers cannot. Not with the New Orleans we've seen Sunday, no. There's no slap in the face to Green Bay. I think Green Bay is very talented. I think Green Bay's got a better shot at beating Seattle than they would have beaten New Orleans because Seattle's defense.
Saints money line, Packers money line. Play that and throw your life saver. Oh, okay. Thanks. Probably pays like 10 to 1.
No shit. I could put like $100,000 on that. I win 1672.
Yeah.
Like what the hell? Yeah. So I don't think this game is in question. New Orleans for sure. Seattle at the Rams. This game's tricky. Okay. It's another one of those games. Seattle offense never shows up against the Rams. Okay, at least once a year. Once a year, that offense completely shuts down.
1672, so he's laughing.
One time a year, Seattle plays the Rams, and they score like 13 points. Okay, so that's the part that makes me nervous about this game. But I'm going to tell you why I'm playing Seattle right now. Because two weeks in a row, or 2 out of 3 weeks. Did they lose back-to-back games? No, it's 2. Okay, so 2 out of 3 weeks, they went out there and lost games. One to Arizona, who's a division opponent, and then one to Buffalo, who they were favored by like what 7? I think they were 7-point favorites. Mm-hmm. And they've been beat. And plus, Russell Wilson looked very human in both of those games. He potentially cost them both of those games. Russell Wilson does not look like that very often, and Russell Wilson knows his team's fallen behind. They're no longer the number 1 seed. He's not the overwhelming MVP favorite anymore. I think Russell Wilson plays his best ball when the walls are closing in on him and all the pressure's on him. He plays extremely well when that stuff happens. He actually is one of the very few players that plays worse when he's supposed to be comfortable. And that's crazy to me. I don't know how anybody does that, but there are people who are like that. I'm wearing a sweatshirt. The great Kobe Bryant was very good in those type of situations as well. But some people fuel off that. Russ does. I'm going to take Seattle because I think in pressured Russell Wilson is just going to destroy that Rams defense. This game was kind of hard to pick just because, like the stat I told you about Seattle always laying one egg against the Rams, but I don't think it's going to be this one. Maybe next time.
Yeah, so Russell Wilson's sitting on his couch right now, and the temperature's starting to rise up. He's starting to get a little sweaty because the pressure's on. He's lost my vote for MVP. He's cost himself 2 games. There's no denying that. He threw that interception to Isaiah Simmons against the Cardinals. That sealed his fate. He threw 3 interceptions against the Bills.
And a fumble.
That's 4 possessions you took away from your team. And the Bills capitalized on those. Russell Wilson's feeling the pressure that he's lost the number 1 seed in the NFC. He's losing his MVP. He's losing everything. If he keeps playing like this, he's going to lose his old lady too. So, she only likes winners. Notice how she only went after him?
He's got a ring.
Could have had 2. But he knows that he's got to turn the ship around. That defense is not doing him any favors.
Neither that offensive line.
Yeah. And I know that they've got some injuries, but honestly, who doesn't have injuries? It's how you overcome those and play better football. So I'm giving it to Russell Wilson because his back's against the wall. If he keeps it up, they're going to be the 5th seed playing in the playoffs. And nobody wants to be the 5th seed because you could host a playoff game or you're going to go and travel across the country and play like Tampa Bay. Do you think Seattle wants to play Tampa Bay with that crappy defense that they got? No. Seattle's going to win this football game. And it's going to be tough because the Rams are playing good football too, but not as much as lately. So I have the Seahawks taking this one.
I need to backtrack. I got to backtrack. I said earlier this year that I was going to pick the Rams in every game for Curtis, and I forgot. So I'm backtracking. I'm going to pick the Rams. Changing my pick. I got to stick to my word.
Yep.
I got to stick to my word. And I said I was going to do it. I didn't care if it cost me games. My head says Seattle, but my heart's got to say the Rams. So.
I forgot about that, yeah.
So I'm changing my pick and make sure I update my pick sheet and send it back.
Yep. So Baltimore's traveling to New England. This is the easiest one out of the entire thing.
Yeah, really is.
The Patriots needed help to beat the Joe Flacco Jets. Not even
needed help from the Jets to beat the Jets.
Yeah, it was.
Wasn't even the Sam Darnold Jets.
It's not even the Sam Darnold Jets, and you needed some help from the Jets to win that football game on 2 separate occasions. The Jets could have ran that clock out, but they went for a deep ball. You shouldn't have got that ball back. You did. And then they forgot how to play football, and they tagged him and down the play. The Ravens are going to win this game, and Cam is just not going to look good. He struggles against mediocre defenses. How's he going to play against
the Ravens'
Baltimore's
top-tier defense, yeah.
Lamar's going to win this game very convincingly.
If Baltimore were minus 44.5 faves, I would still take it. Wow. Yeah, Baltimore, they're obviously not the same team they were last year, but neither's New England. So New England's looked really bad, like pretty much like he said it. They needed help on a couple occasions to beat the Jets on Monday night. I wouldn't even want the fact they celebrated that win was almost embarrassing. Like they were jumping up and down after they looked at the field, like what? No, dude, I'd put towel over my head like Cam Newton style and just go back to the locker room. Like, yeah. I would not want to show my face at all. The fact you had the last second field goal to beat the Jets. Like, Greenville's high school football team could beat the Jets. Like...
Probably could beat the Patriots, too.
At this point, like, this is... Man, I can't pick New England. I have no faith in Cam Newton. Cam Newton had a 2-game, like, whoo, I'm back party, and then kind of went... Like, he has... I said 3 the other day. He actually does have 2 passing touchdowns. It's 2. 2 passing touchdowns on the season. So one of the announcers misspoke because one of them said that he had 3 when I watched his game 2 weeks ago against the Bills.
He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in, what, like,
since
6
week
weeks?
2.
Yeah.
Since the week game against Seattle.
That ain't it, bud.
I think he might have thrown both touchdown passes in that game.
I think he did because he had rushing touchdowns in week 1. And
yeah.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had anything since week 2. So, yeah. New England's just a disaster, okay? Just, I cherish every moment. I love it. But...
They got that bright spot in Jacoby Myers. He looks like the real deal.
Fuck that guy. He's the only reason you beat me last week. But, okay, so there's nothing to talk about here, okay? Like, just, this is a shit game. So, now we go to Monday night, the game of the week. So... We got the curse of Monday night, 0-8, Kirk Cousins. And then we got Kirk Vember, the legend of Kirk Vember, which didn't get created until Kirktober was a sham. And then we were just like, fuck it. And then next month. But it turns out we might have found a diamond in the rough. The Vikings have looked, and I'm not trying to sound like a homer here, but I don't think he's going to say anything much different. They've looked real good lately. Their offense is clicking. Dalvin Cook is running all over everybody. And Kirk Cousins hasn't turned over the ball in a while. And I think that's key to Minnesota's success. They're getting pressure on the quarterback now on defense. They're getting off the field so Kirk doesn't feel like he's got to throw the ball 40 yards every time he gets on the field. And the Bears are trending in the exact opposite direction. They're not scoring. They're not running. They're not passing. They're not doing anything. Okay, their defense is good, but that only holds up for so long. Eventually, your defense wears out if you can't stay on the field. So you got one team trending up. You got one team trending down. The Monday Night Football woes of Kirk Cousins ends this Monday. Kirk Vember lives on 3-0, Minnesota.
Yeah. So Kirk Vember, as outrageous and ridiculous as it sounds, so far it's been true. And they're not winning games by, like, the skin of their teeth. They are dominating football games against the Packers and the Lions. But
still a divisional opponent,
yep.
though.
When it comes to Chicago, they have next to nothing for offense. It's kind of sad. And their defense plays really good. but I don't think it's going to be enough to slow down Dalvin Cook. If you slow down Dalvin Cook, then Jefferson and Thielen are just going to be catching those play-action passes because you're going to be biting on the fake
They're
run.
going to stack the box Monday.
Yeah, and so I don't really see a way that Minnesota doesn't pull this game out. The Chicago Bears are on a downward spiral. You might see Trubisky play by the end of the season again, which would just be not good. Nobody really wants to see that. So I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Bember rolls on 3-0.
Do you know the Bears' offense was actually better with Trubisky statistically? And they were calling for his head, so that's how sad the Bears' offense has turned. So yeah. All right, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you guys' support, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.